Stan the Wine Man TV. I am your host, Stan Rattan, and this is the Blue Collar Wine Show, where I try to help you spend your wine dollars wisely. But we're not going to talk about wine today. This is my first episode about distilled spirits, and I'm privileged to have with me Matt Howell. Matt?
Hello. Hey, Stan.
I have to say hello.
Yeah.
You can relax. We're not live. We will be on YouTube tomorrow, though. And Matty used to call me as a wine sales rep for Great Expectations. Sold what? About four and a half years? About 4 years.
Yeah.
And we got to know each other really well, and he told me about this idea he had of doing a distillery, and now it's a real deal. This is his tasting room. It's called Chuckanut Bay Distillery, and it's on Railroad Avenue in downtown Old Town Bellingham, and it's on an alleyway right kind of behind Boundary Bay Brewery, which is just right up the hill, right behind us, a little bit further down. So if you're ever in Bellingham and you want to check it out, cool tasting room, cool distillery. And Matt, I want you to tell us what made you decide to get into doing bourbon, gin, and vodka, and all the other things that you're doing right now.
Sure, yeah. So, always had a passion for alcoholic beverage of every variety, but really kind of came to have a love of gin through a bottle of gin that I'd actually received from my grandfather when my mom said he could no longer drink, and it was just this old, beautiful bottle of gin, and it was one of the first real aha moments. Like we have these moments with, whether it's a wine or food or whatever, you're like, wow, that can be something that you just didn't even imagine, and it was just nuanced and beautiful. And for the longest time when I was selling wine, we opened like 18 to 20 bottles a week or whatever, and you have lots of wine left over. You sample out as much as you can, give away, but inevitably you end up with some, and you throw it in a distillery, see what you do, and you start making gin, and it just becomes a passion, and go from there.
So you actually made gin out of wine?
Sure, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't hear that story. So do you remember the gin that you inherited from your grandfather? Do you remember the name of it? Yeah,
it was an old Kimberly gin. It was like in this multifaceted bottle with all these different faces, and I should have kept the bottle. It was just beautiful. Sure, it was one of those leaded glass, so I'm sure I ingested a lot of lead with that one, but it was something special.
Well, you never guess it. He's actually gotten skinnier. You're already a skinner, and I've gotten heavier. So, that's just the way life goes sometimes, right? So you started off with potato vodka.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the first product.
And you entered that into the New York competition.
Yeah, the International Spirits Competition.
You got a double gold.
Yeah, we were super fortunate. One of 2 distilleries in the world to receive a double gold.
Now, how many entries are in that?
400 distilleries.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So, gets a double gold for his first vodka, and then they gave you Distillery of the Year.
Yeah, they did. Washington State Distillery of the Year.
Yeah, and you were only open, what, 4 months?
Yeah, about that. Yeah, about that.
So he's a rising star. He's a shooting star in the distillery business, and we actually started talking about doing this video probably a couple years ago when I first started doing YouTube, and Bellingham isn't that far away, but everything's tough and getting everything together. So today I came up here and we're doing it, and he just released a bourbon. I want to show you guys the bottle. How long has it been since you released your bourbon?
It has now been a month. 1 month. 1 month.
Okay. This is hot off the press. I'm a big bourbon guy, but I want to show you the label. So there's his label, Chuckanut Bay Distillery, and he poured me a sample of this bourbon. Let's get this a little tighter. There we go. And I'm telling you, being a bourbon aficionado, there's a lot of things we look for, at least what I look for in bourbon. You can disagree or agree with me, whatever you want to do, is how smooth it is, how much flavor it has. Those are probably the key elements of a good bourbon.
Yeah, sure.
You don't just want a burn.
Right.
So I guess some people do, but I don't. I want flavor, and I like the heat. I like to have a little bit of bite, but also smooth.
Sure. Yeah.
One of my favorites is Buffalo Trace.
Yeah, they do a great job.
Yeah. But I tried this bourbon. and it has all of those things. It has heat, it has a little bite, but it's smooth and it's delicious. You hit all the elements.
Thank you, yeah.
So what's the composition on this again?
We took corn down a little bit, so we're about 60% corn, mid-20s with the rye, and then the remainder is just wheat and barley. We took the rye up because we found we were getting this really nice, spicy, resinous quality. It also took down, lots of times, bourbon get really sweet, especially when you go real heavy on the corn. And so by going heavier with the rye, we found that it kind of broadened the profile a little bit, and it comes off a little less sweet.
Yeah, it's real obvious. So, like, just for an example, what is sour mash whiskey? What is that composed? What's the composition? Like, let's say Jack Daniels, Black Jack.
Yeah, I mean, so the thing is, Jack Daniels, that's an interesting one because, I mean, it's Tennessee whiskey. I think a big part of that is really just trying to differentiate themselves from Bourbon County, Kentucky, you know. But aside from doing a filtration and a pass back through, I think it's Maplewood or something like that. I mean, it's predominantly corn. With the sour mash, what you're doing is you're kicking back in, you know, your previous ferments and sometimes bits of distillation to that process, since you get, you know, the aromatics of that ferment are sour.
Yeah.
You know.
And it is a sweeter, definitely a sweeter.
Right. And
whiskey.
And I think a big part of that is that pass through that. And I think it might be sugar maple. I think it's sugar maple. I mean, I'm on video for this, but I believe
you're
just
qualified. This is you're just guessing.
Right.
Yeah, but you have some general idea.
Yeah.
I use Black Jack because that's probably the biggest selling whiskey, probably overall, just because it's been around so long.
Yeah.
Now you say you're his distributor. Just for those of you who watch this, who may be in the state of Washington, they have a distributor now. They go to Spokane too, right?
Yep.
It's called Noble Wines Distributing, and they do wine and spirits and beer. So if you're in the state and you're watching this video and you want to know where to get Chuckanut Bay Distillery whiskey, vodka, potato vodka, he does this is a really cool one. We sell a ton of this at our store. It's called Old Busker Coffee Liqueur. This stuff is amazing. And what kind of coffee do you use in this?
We use a cold brew coffee that we work with Woods Coffee here in Whatcom County.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, right above you.
Yeah.
Woods Coffee. They do their own coffee beans.
Yeah.
Cool. Anyway, excellent stuff. I mean, this is amazing, and you know, it's not cheap compared to some other. Capali is what? Yeah, it's about double the price of Capali, which is. Where's that from? Italy?
I don't know.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
Anyway, but that being said, for that level or price level to sell that well, that's pretty impressive. That means that the quality is there, because you can ask the price, but when they try it, if it doesn't match the quality,
yeah,
you know, they give up on it. But obviously, we have return customers, and that's pretty amazing. But I think we've ordered a case over the last couple of months, which is pretty good for a coffee liqueur. And then you do this little guy, you gotta tell him about Krampus.
Oh yeah, sure.
I won't tell you my inside joke on that one, that probably wouldn't be appropriate for YouTube. I want to show you, but just tell the story behind Krampus.
Sure. So Krampus. This is inspired by an old Bavarian recipe. We have a hazelnut farmer here in the county, and then lots of beekeepers, and so we knew we kind of had like these basic components, and we wanted to do a winter-specific spirit. So we just started playing around with like toasted hazelnuts in with our wheat spirit that we make from a farmer here that grows wheat for us in the county, and then sweetening it with honey, and then adding different spices. And so that's really that's the big part of that. But we knew we wanted it, you know, if you're going to call it Krampus, it needs to be like high alcohol. So we bottled 55%, pretty high octane.
110 proof?
110 proof, so high octane stuff, but it shows a real ability to, I mean, I love it on its own, that's how I drink it, but I mean, it makes some fantastic drinks.
So why did you decide to use this dude on the front? Tell the story about
Sure, yeah,
So,
so,
you know, I didn't know. I mean,
Right.
it's not my thing, but he told me about it. It was pretty interesting. So.
yeah, so that was kind of paying homage back to its roots, where we kind of drew inspiration for the recipe, which was Bavarian. So in Austria, and in parts of Germany as well, like in that area, Krampus is like an event, you know, this Krampus night in which people get dressed up as Krampus and they'll go chase around people in the streets, you know, and we kind of like that, you know, a little bit of this idea of like a little bit of, you know, a little bit of naughty, like in a really high alcohol beverage for the winter season.
Didn't he steal? What did he steal? He stole.
Yeah, so on our label here, we got him with a bottle in hand and then in his bag having
full
bottles. But I mean, this is kind of a take on a traditional imagery. I mean, there's lots of these images that have been drawn for quite a long time. And typically in the backpack you have children.
Oh,
and he's taking away the naughty children. You know, he doesn't just deliver coal, but he's taking the naughty little kids. And then typically in the hand, instead of a bottle, he's got a switch that that he hits kids with. We don't condone that, nor do we promote that, right?
And well, I didn't know anything about it. I'm sure there's probably some of you history buffs out there that know that story, but most of us don't. I thought it was pretty funny, but now it's turned into more of a he steals other things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, in this case, he's stealing bottles.
He's stealing bottles.
Yeah, that's much better.
Yeah.
He can crack a whip on empty bottles. It's okay.
Right. No lawsuits there.
So Matt started this whole project while he was selling wine, and it was funny because he'd come to the store and he'd be really tired because he had to build this boiler room and he was doing all that stuff while he was selling wine. And in 2013, July of 2013, he finally cut the cord, started full time. And now you're talking about people in other states are starting to show interest in this, and so he's got to ramp up production. He's got an empty nest next door. So how many fermenters do you have now? You said 5?
We got 6.
6?
Yeah, 6 fermenters.
And how many distillers do you have?
So we've got one still with a couple secondary columns.
Okay.
And then one mash tun.
And are you looking to age some bourbon, like have some aged bourbon?
So yeah, so this bourbon was in barrel 13 months.
Okay. Are you looking to
go longer?
Go longer on some of them?
It would be great. I mean, a big part of that is just finding the space.
Sure.
You know, but really, if we were going to go longer than that, it would be we'd go straight bourbon, starting with straight bourbon. So that's 2 years in barrel. And we start looking at 53s, and that's definitely of interest. Right now in the docket, we've pretty much settled on 30-gallon barrels. We really like that size, what they do, and also just as a function of the amount of space we have available. But once we have more space, yeah, it'd be great to start to implement that sort of an aging program.
We've grown leaps and bounds since the first time he started talking about this. So I imagine great things for Matt Howell and Chuckanut Bay Distillery in the near future. So seriously, if you're up in Bellingham, Washington, you're near Railroad Avenue, you can see a sign on the side of the building. It's right in the back alley of Boundary Bay Brewery, which is a very popular brewery here in Bellingham. And stop by and say hi to Matt and try some of his wares because he does an excellent job. By the way, I think your potato vodka is the best vodka I've ever had.
Oh wow, thank you.
In my life. Period. I mean, honestly. Not because I like Matty. I speak it like it is, right?
Yeah.
I don't hold back. I wouldn't even say it in front of him if I didn't like it, but it's the best vodka I ever had. In fact, the owner of the store tried it. It was a little too much for him because he's a Kettle One guy.
Yeah.
And so, how many times do you distill down the vodka?
Yeah, so for us, it's not really a function of like number of times. Like we see that mostly as like a marketing ploy.
Sure.
It's all about cuts, you know. I mean, so sometimes portions of it may take as little as 3 distillations. I mean, other parts of it may take as much as 10. Who knows? It's just like we just make the cuts when it tastes right.
What you want it to taste. Oh, and just stay here, Matty. I want you to explain over here. I'm going to tip up the camera.
Sure.
So you can see over his head. This is a good part of the story. Before we finish up, I want you to see, I'm going to aim the camera up. above Maddie's head. What is that all about, Matt?
All right, yeah, so this is a bike that my friend Kevin and I put together. And so on this guy, we crushed the initial 13,000 pounds of Yukon Gold potatoes for our potato vodka.
That's great. So you had it attached to your masher?
Yeah, well, yeah, we have a grinder that we had on the back of it, and so yeah, we just pedal and you crush those things up. It's a lot like riding a bike on the beach, not terribly pleasant, but you got the job done. And it sounds like a lot of potatoes, and it is, but it takes a whole lot of potatoes to make vodka.
Yeah. So how long did that take?
Yeah, so I mean, once I kept kind of refining the grinding apparatus. So initially, it would take, I could do 100 pounds in about 2 hours, which was way too long. But then by the time I was done, we were getting it to where we could do 100 pounds every 12 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, so it actually got pretty efficient.
All right. Now I'm going to unplug the microphone. I just want them to peek into this, because this is rustic stuff here. I mean, this is really cool. Like, you get to my heart, you get a place like this where you're in kind of like a garage winemaker. You're a garage bourbon and vodka and gin maker.
Yeah.
So we're going to just take a quick look. Why don't you open the door, Maddie?
Sure, yeah.
I'll just unplug here real quick. So we got back here. This is a two-man operation, by the way. I don't want to get too jiggly here. But this is Matt's fermenters. And what's the dude's name again?
Tony.
Tony is works with him. But there you go. That's your still, right?
Yeah.
There's your still. There's all his fermenters. There's the roof. There's some other. These are some other fermenters that he has, that he uses to supplement what he's doing. All right. Just wanted to show that real quick. Hopefully that's not too jiggly. You know, I get motion sickness. Remember that movie where they had the real cameras? Do you remember that? What was that movie?
Blair Witch?
Yeah, the other one. The one with the earthquake and the aliens coming to attack the earth. Anyway, I had to leave it.
Oh, did you?
I couldn't take the motion.
It was too much.
Yeah, so some people don't mind that. I do. Anyway, Matt, thank you so much for taking the time. And seriously, if you get to Bellingham, come down to see Chuckanut Bay Distillery. Try his stuff. You're going to love it. And I'm not going to finish the way I normally do because it's not about wine. But remember, always try new things. And if you really want some good distilled spirits, look up Chuckanut Bay Distillery. By the way, I'll link up the website on this video so people can go to your website.
Oh, perfect.
Check it out, see what it's all about. Thanks for watching. And remember, keep on drinking.